Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Deepa Brar and I'm here to inspire you all to live a deeply beautiful life. So you guys know on this channel that we talk a lot about regrowing your hair naturally by healing your body. But today we're going to talk about something different, and this is something that you guys ask a lot about, and that is what surgical hair loss treatments are available. I'm going to break down the best surgical hair loss treatments out there, who it's suitable for, and we're going to get into what the best ones are for women. So you're going to want to stick around to the end of this video for that. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and let's get into this video. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is hair transplant surgery. Now there are two methods when it comes to hair transplant surgery, but basically the idea is that they're removing live follicles from parts of your head where you have more dense hair, and then they're implanting that into an area where it's more sparse or bare. So the two that are available are the FUT and the FUE method. Now FUE, or follicular unit extraction, is where they remove hair from different parts of your head, so all over in little tiny sections, so that it's not like one big area that you're removing hair from. The great thing about FUE is that there are no cuts or stitches that are made. It's basically just removing that follicle, and so the recovery time for the patient is much quicker. Now who this is more suitable for is people that have smaller areas that they need to fill in, and people who need a much quicker recovery time. Now the next one we're going to talk about is FUT, and that is follicular unit transplantation. And that's kind of considered the more old school method of hair transplant, where you take an entire strip from the back of the head where it's more dense, and you have a strip to extract the follicles from and then implant that into the areas where you need to fill in. Now the benefits of choosing this one is that if you have a much larger area to cover, you're going to need a lot more hair, so that's why a strip of hair follicles is going to be more suitable to you. Now keep in mind, they're not actually implanting strips of hair into the bald areas. What they're doing is they're taking that strip of hair and they're extracting the follicles and dissecting that strip of hair. But in general, you're getting a lot more follicles from a strip versus going in and extracting from individual smaller areas. The other advantage of FUT is that you might get better quality results, but keep in mind that that actually depends on the surgeon performing the surgery. Now who this is more suitable for is people that have larger areas, like I mentioned, to cover up, as well as people that don't mind the cuts and the stitches and the recovery time, and someone who wants to just get this all done in one sitting. Now the next one we're going to talk about is tissue expansion. So this is a less common surgery, and this is more for people that have actually had traumatic things happen to their scalp, whether it be an injury to the skin or a burn to the skin, so it's not possible to actually grow hair in that area using other methods. What happens in tissue expansion is they're putting the tissue expanders into the areas where you have more dense hair to expand that region so that it covers and kind of sort of crowds out the areas that don't have any hair. The area where the tissue expanders are placed is filled with saline water for a few weeks, which stretches out the skin. So once they're done doing that for a few weeks in one section, if like the section that they've placed it into expands by this much, they'll then go to the edge to expand that even further. So it can take a little bit of time to get this all done. But like I mentioned, this is for people that have actual injury or burns to the skin. So if you are actually considering hair transplant surgery, next week I'm going to be posting a video on how to optimize recovery from these surgeries, as well as how to optimize results. So watch out for that one. Now the next one we're going to talk about is scalp reduction surgery, which is exactly what it sounds like. And this method is not as popular as it used to be because there have been so many advancements when it comes to hair transplant surgery. But essentially what they're doing is that any areas where it's like more bald, they are reducing that area. So they're gonna cut the skin and cut a lot of the bald portion out, bring the scalp a little bit closer together, sew it in, and then you have less visible bald area. And the reason why it's not performed as much anymore is because of the scar that is left and that is visible to the eye. So it's not exactly the most ideal surgery, but it is still an option for people that want a super quick recovery time and don't want to go the hair transplant route. Okay, the next one I'm gonna talk about is so exciting. And don't forget, I'm going to be talking about what's ideal for women in just a second, but let's talk about hair cloning. So if you guys follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you know that I've posted a video on this before. there is this whole exciting thing happening where they are starting to clone hair follicles. Now, it's not actually available for humans just yet. Not that animals are actually requesting to have this done, but you know what I mean. They're testing it. So in a few years, it might be something that's going to be available to humans to have performed. So what they're doing is essentially taking your hair follicles and they are cloning them in a lab, growing them there, and then they're implanting that into your hair so that it can regenerate your hair to grow in the areas where it's bald. Which just sounds like, I mean, it sounds so sci-fi, doesn't it? I mean, it really does sound pretty exciting. All right, without further ado, let's get into the best hair transplants for women. Now, one of the best options is one that we've already talked about. That's the FUE, or follicular unit extraction. That's the one where you're taking smaller areas and then you're taking like the follicle and then implanting it into the sparse areas. Now, the reason why this is pretty sought after by women is because, for one thing, you're not getting the surgical cuts. So you're not getting like any stitches put into your scalp. You're not getting that strip taken out of your scalp. It's just, it looks a lot more natural. And then because women in general don't tend to have like bigger, balder areas like men do, it's more of a sparsity. It's like you're just going in and then implanting those follicles and regrowing that area. Now, the other method is called direct hair implantation. Now, the difference is in this, they're using a specialized tool to extract the hair follicles and then to implant them into the area where you need a little bit more hair. And the reason why this is a good option, because you're minimizing the trauma that you're actually doing to your scalp while you're extracting and implanting the hair. Now, keep in mind, when you are looking for a surgeon, if you are a woman, try to look for somebody who has actually performed many hair transplant surgeries on females. The reason being, you will have a much higher success rate with somebody who's performed on women before. If you don't go to somebody who's performed on women, the success rate is not nearly as high as it is for men. Now, one common question that I do get about hair transplantation for women is, do you have to shave your hair? And not necessarily, no. There is an option where you can actually take a longer piece of hair and implant that into the area where needed. You don't necessarily have to shave your head. Now let's get into the frequently asked questions when it comes to hair transplant surgery. So how long will it take to see results? So if you guys have been following me for a while, you know I talk all about the hair growth cycle. It could take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to see that initial growth. And then also too, it could potentially take all the way up to 12 months to see the full kind of like results. Are hair transplant surgeries painful? No, they're not, because the surgeon is going to make sure that there's a local anesthesia that is applied so that you don't feel the surgery. Is hair transplantation safe? So that really depends on the surgeon that you go to. You want to make sure that you are researching the surgeon before you commit to one. You want to look for somebody that has performed many surgeries, that has a really good reputation in the industry, and that has really good results on their website. Now, when it comes to cost, I can't really give you a ballpark, because for one thing, it depends on what surgery you're having performed, which doctor you're going to, and what area you live in. So yeah, it really varies. You're just gonna have to do your own research on that part. And now for who cannot have the surgery performed. For one thing, you have to be older than 25 to have this done. You should not have multiple medical conditions, hypertension, uncontrolled diabetes, or heart problems. If the hair loss that you're experiencing is not androgenetic alopecia, which is the most common one that hair transplant surgeons will perform on, then you definitely need to get your hair loss diagnosed first before you even talk to the surgeon. Also, too, most surgeons will not perform on you if the hair loss you're experiencing is trichotillomania, which is considered more of a mental health issue. And in that case, you definitely want to go see a counselor or a therapist to talk to instead. Lastly, people that do not have much density in the back, it might not be the best option for you. So now watch out for the next video, because I'm going to be talking all about how to optimize results from hair transplant surgery. I hope this video helped you guys. If you have any requests for future videos, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys soon with another video.